The previous 4-minute segment summarized the solution. If you have learned enough to schedule an interview with the author, send an email to authors@thetaskforce.info. If you would like to know more, continue watching this video. The next 7-minute segment summarizes the lawsuit. The lawsuit is a tentative measure, a last resort tactic that will be set in motion only if the APA and practicing psychologists do not embrace the elegant solution. Why spring theory was adopted. During the 1960s through 1980s, 3 conditions caused society to adopt spring theory. They are responsible for why free nations worldwide have applied spring theory to their social problems. 1. Therapists were counseling patients without an APA-endorsed central core theory of human nature. The APA knew that the central core theory of psychology remained undiscovered. After all, it had yet to identify officially any theory as being correct. 2. Spring theory was arguable and believable in the absence of a true understanding of human nature. 3. A hedonistic, self-indulgent lifestyle was prevalent, resulting in broken lives and troubled citizens in need of consoling and forgiveness. Spring theory was attractive because it transferred well-deserved guilt and blame to someone or something else. The APA is culpable. Fact: spring theory was embraced, endorsed, and promoted by therapists for financial gain. Fact: the APA did not object. On the contrary, it aided and abetted practitioners by conjuring up ways to increase their influence and income. Fact: when Congress and other parliamentary bodies began applying spring theory to social problems, the APA did not speak out that it was uncertain as to the validity of spring theory. Note that the APA assumed authority in representing, governing, and speaking on behalf of psychology. As such, it had a fiduciary responsibility to inform governments they may be making a mistake. Yet rather than admit uncertainty in its understanding of human nature, the APA chose to protect its lofty position by feigning expertise and remaining silent. The damages caused by the 60-year ongoing psychology and counseling scam are greater than most people can imagine. They include emotional, personal, professional, interpersonal, and financial losses that total in the trillions. Millions of families with members who have gone to see a therapist for correctable issues have been torn apart emotionally, if not physically. How many parents have suffered from being blamed for the self-induced problems of their children who became alcoholics or got hooked on drugs, or they dropped out of school or committed a felony, or they had multiple broken relationships, or they became dependent on government for their basic needs? What value can we put on the loss of joy and satisfaction of parents who spent years being blamed for the maladies of their offspring after working so hard and making so many sacrifices? Think of the citizens turned victims who have spent years, decades, their entire life thinking they had a legitimate disease diagnosed by APA-certified charlatans gone unnoticed from not working off the back of a wagon. Social problems have become worse because spring theory was adopted by the psychology industry. The result is America's $17 trillion and the world's $53 trillion debt. In short, the debt of nations is attributable to the assistance, cooperation, collusion, and inaction of the APA. Unfortunately, the situation is much worse than the enormous emotional and financial costs to citizens and nations. When the economic system collapses, social upheaval will surely destroy the infrastructure of nations, ending our way of life. If we don't undertake the measures necessary to end the scam and repair the damage, the economic system will certainly collapse, resulting in social implosion, global conflict, the starvation and death of billions of people, the end of environmental-friendly policies and practices, and the loss of liberty, luxury, and technology. If the dollar collapses, nations will implode, resulting in the consequences described. How much would the damages be, in your opinion? There are several categories of plaintiffs. Citizens with self-induced correctable issues that have been duped into believing they are victims, or their parents were somehow responsible for their poor decision-making and bad behavior, or they have a debilitating or limiting lifelong condition or disease. Parents of children with correctable issues that have been identified by the child's therapist as being somehow responsible for the self-induced malady of their child. Citizens of nations that have applied spring theory to public problems, resulting in worsening social conditions and runaway debt. Children forced to pay back enormous debt so we can make citizens comfortable today. There are several categories of defendants. Researchers that form and test hypotheses in the laboratory and then analyze and report results provide a valuable and necessary service to society. They are not perpetrators of the scam. Psychologists that offer common sense advice or serve as a sounding board or that incorporate gravity theory exclusively provide a valuable service. They are not perpetrators of the scam. Therapists that give advice based on spring theory are practicing pseudoscience. They have caused great harm to patients and nations. They are perpetrators of the scam. The APA is responsible for plotting and facilitating the 60-year deception. APA members are perpetrators of the scam. Out of necessity, our goal is cooperation, not punishment, satisfaction, or restitution. As such, we needed to incorporate a way to encourage the APA and practicing psychologists to change their destructive ways and lend their support. The psychology and counseling scam details a mechanism where patients ask their therapist to read the book. Psychologists who declare they will henceforth advocate only gravity theory will not be named as a defendant in the pending class action lawsuit. Adding their name to the registry exonerates them from past offenses. Note that cooperation is our only goal. Punishment, satisfaction, and restitution will not save America from fiscal collapse and social implosion. The psychology and counseling scam explains how the APA can also get on the right side of the argument and even profit from the inevitable transition from spring theory to gravity theory. See the book for details. The science community can weigh in quickly from the APA making the argument for gravity theory in their monthly magazine. Their members will submit a form electronically, casting their vote for or against gravity theory. Their vote will be recorded on record and the results reported in the following issue of the APA magazine. Accountability is necessary to obtain honest answers and credible results. See the book for details. Remember, the lawsuit is a tentative measure, a last resort tactic that will be set in motion only if the APA and practicing psychologists do not embrace the elegant solution. The elegant solution is explained in detail in the psychology and counseling scam. Essentially, it calls for the APA and practicing psychologists to weigh in on the spring theory versus gravity theory debate. Time is of the essence. We cannot allow the education and science communities to drag their proverbial feet. America and the world needs them to sanction gravity theory now and advocate its immediate and universal application. By getting on the right side of the argument immediately, the APA and practicing psychologists can claim their folly was the result of bad science now corrected. The alternative is to go down fighting like the tobacco executives. The previous 7-minute segment summarized the lawsuit. If you have learned enough to schedule an interview with the author, send an email to authors@thetaskforce.info. If you would like to know more, continue watching this video. The next 5-minute segment explains what you can do.